Part 5. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Ju. Chapter 41. When Shen Tianxing heard Dugu Zixi's words, his eyes lit up and his heart moved for a moment. But then she thought, if Dugu Zixi came to find her as soon as he recovered from his illness, then she, the person who cured him, might not be able to hide it. Once her identity is exposed, it may be impossible for her and her family to live a peaceful life. When Shen Tianxing thought of this, she said to Dugu Zixi, "Master." Dugu Zixi pressed her lips, looked at her intently, and emphasized in a strong tone, "Little Xing, don't call me master again. As soon as you call me master, I feel uncomfortable. It feels like the person you are calling is not me, but someone else. Just call me Zixi, Zixi, okay." Shen Tianxing saw that he looked serious, as if he would not give up until she called him Zi11. The master was still jealous of him, ha, it was so funny. Such a silly, cute master is really more alluring than in his previous life. She was in a happy mood, smiling and frowning. Okay, from now on I will call you Zixi. When Dugu Zixi heard Shen Tianxing calling his name in that delicate and soft tone, she felt that her heart was about to soften into water. The smile on that handsome face was also particularly bright, beautiful, and charming. Shen Tianxing was dumbfounded and couldn't help but stretched out his hand to touch his face and murmured, "Master." Under his glare, Shen Tianxing immediately changed his words, "Oh, no, it's Zixi, why do I feel like I'm playing with a young version of the master when facing you? Is it the illusion of being a mature version of the master?" The smile on Dugu Zijun's face fell instantly, and he said with a look of dissatisfaction and grievance, "Why do you have such an illusion? Do you think I am still very young? Little Xing, I am 5 years older than you, 5 years old, 5 years old." When Shen Tianxing saw the way he gritted his teeth and emphasized when he talked about being 5 years older, he knew that he was becoming more serious again. Thinking that he now had no memory of his previous life, Shen Tianxing smiled and teased him again, Okay, you are older than me, then I will call you brother from now on, okay." Dugu Zixi shook his head stubbornly, "No. I just want to hear you call Zixi, or Zixi. That's what my family and acquaintances call me, Zixi. How about you call Zixi alone?" Shen Tianxing looked at his expectant eyes and felt that the master was unconsciously being cute to her every minute. She couldn't help but smile and rolled her eyes again, Zixi, it sounds pretty good too." Dugu Zixi nodded fiercely, yeah, just shout like that, just shout like that." Shen Tianxing looked at Dugu Zixi and felt that he was so cute now that she wanted to kiss him. But she was afraid of scaring the master, so she endured it. She raised her head slightly, looked at him, and said seriously, "Then I will call you Zixi from now on. This name will belong to me exclusively. From now on, I am the only one allowed to call you that, and no one else is allowed to call you that, do you know?" Hearing Shen Tianxing's slightly domineering tone, Dugu Zixi was not only not annoyed, but nodded happily, Okay, Zixi only belongs to you, Zixi will always be yours alone." Shen Tianxing met his loving eyes and heard the meaning of his words again. His heart felt warm, and his cheeks seemed to be stained with rouge. They were crimson and looked very moving. Dugu Zixi reached out and gently held her face, and kissed her forehead gently with deep pity and love. Then, he stretched out his long arms and hugged her tightly in his arms. If he hadn't thought about her young age, he would have really wanted to kiss her on the lips properly. Ouch, he wanted to do something bad to her. What should he do? Shen Tianxing felt that Dugu Zixi's breath was getting thicker and thicker, and her body temperature was getting hotter. He actually reacted to her. Shen Tianxing suddenly had the urge to knock Master down. In her previous life, she tried every means to be with her master. But Master always rejected her with a proud look on his face. In this life, the cute little master's body was so honest. He stood up and paid tribute to her after giving her a hug. Shen Tianxing instantly felt happy that he had finally waited for this day after all the hardships. But when he thought about how young they were, Shen Tianxing felt the urge to cry again. Why were we both so young when we met again? Why don't we wait until we are mature enough to meet again? This feeling of wanting to eat fresh meat but not being able to eat it is so terrible. It's so torturous. Of course, complaints are complaints. Shen Tianxing is still very happy to meet such a lovely master at this age. If they had waited until Master had matured before they met, Shen Tianxing was sure that Master would be exactly the same as in his previous life, and she would not be able to see the young and cute appearance of Master now. De Guzixi felt that her breath was getting worse and worse while holding Shen Tianxing. He quickly pushed Shen Tianxing away and said hurriedly, "I'm going to the bathroom to calm down." Shen Tianxing looked at his fleeing figure and couldn't help laughing. When De Guzixi entered the bathroom, listening to Shen Tianxing's clear and melodious laughter, she felt really shy and sweet. This little fairy in his family is so annoying. When De Guzixi came out after calming down, he pulled Shen Tianxing and asked the question just now, "Little Xing, you haven't answered me yet. I want to find you, and I want to be with you every day, okay?" Shen Tianxing shook his head, "No." De Guzixi thought she didn't want to be with him, and felt a little hurt. She asked with an aggrieved look, "Why is it bad?" Shen Tianxing held his hand and said to him gently, "Think about it, I cured your terminal illness in just a few hours. If this news spreads, will it cause countless people with terminal illnesses to suffer? Are people crazy about me? Will they try their best to find me and force me to treat them?" De Guzixi understood instantly and nodded, "Of course it will. I understand. I'm sorry, little Xing. I was just anxious to see you and want to be with you, but I didn't think of these consequences." Shen Tianxing smiled softly, "I'm still young now, and I still want to live a quiet life for a few years. If you want to see me, it's very simple. Just come into the space when you have time. It just so happens that you no longer have the memory of your previous life." "Memory? Have you forgotten all your previous skills? You can come to space, and I will teach you again. In this life, I will be your master, how about it?" "Ha ha ha." De Guzixi said arrogantly, "Since your skills were taught to you by me in your previous life, the best you can do now is to return the things to me, and you cannot be my master." In this life, he just wants to be her lover. Dominating the powerful families, Rebirth of the strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 42. Seeing his anxious look, Shen Tianxing couldn't help but laugh. Okay, I won't let you call me master, okay." De Guzixi then grinned and said, "That's pretty much it?" Shen Tianxing pulled him and asked him to sit cross-legged on the bed, and then said to him seriously, "Zixi, I will now teach you our TNG Pavilion's cultivation method Tiandao creation technique. You close your eyes, empty your mind, and I will transfer the cultivation method directly into your brain." "Good." De Guzixi closed her eyes obediently and cleared her mind. Soon, he felt Shen Tianxing's fingers gently tapping on his forehead. Immediately afterwards, a lot of information poured into his brain crazily. The information was automatically stored in his brain, without him having to deliberately memorize and organize it. De Guzixi feels amazing. If learning can be done like this, then everyone can become a top student. When he saw the cultivation method of Tiandao creation technique and saw the familiar movements, his brain jumped suddenly. These movements felt very familiar to him, as if they had been engraved into his soul, as if something was trying to break out of his brain. De Guzixi didn't need Shen Tianxing's guidance at all. He relied on instinct and started practicing according to the cultivation method of the art of creation of heaven. When Shen Tianxing saw that Tugu Zixi was so smart and had such a high level of understanding, he vaguely knew that it was the master's subconscious mind from his previous life that was at work, guiding him to move forward step by step. Maybe one day, as he practices, the master's memories of his past life will be reawakened. After the master's memory awakens, his abilities will come back, and he will become that very powerful master again. To be honest, Shen Tianxing didn't expect his master to recover his past life memories so quickly. Because she prefers this lovely master who can interact emotionally with her. She was very afraid that if the master awakened the memory of his previous life, he would refuse her approach and reject her feelings just like in his previous life. If the master in this life really wants to awaken, Shen Tianxing hopes that he can awaken after he and her are married, preferably after they have children. In this case, she no longer has to worry about the master who has awakened his memory running away. Shen Tianxing thought while guarding Tugu Zixi and watching him practice. What shocked Shen Tianxing was that Tugu Zixi had never practiced in this life, but this practice was like an awakening, and he could draw qi into his body in the blink of an eye. Then, he quickly gathered his spiritual power, refining the first level of qi, the second level of qi refining, the third level of qi refining. Seeing Tugu Zixi's training speed like a rocket, Shen Tianxing was stunned. Sure enough, the master is the master. Even if he is reborn again, he will still be her awesome genius master. With his cultivation speed, I'm afraid it won't be long before he can beat her stupid apprentice again. Woo, Shen Tianxing felt a little heartbroken. Why wasn't she as smart as her master? She was reincarnated with her memories and started practicing since she was a baby. She has been practicing for more than 10 years now, and her cultivation level is only at the 9th level of the foundation establishment realm, and she has not even formed a golden elixir. Although her cultivation speed is not slow, compared with the evil master, she is really not good enough. However, Shen Tianxing was very happy that his master could become stronger again. The master has become stronger, and he will be there for everything from now on. He will pamper her, he will support her, and she can rest easy and live her happy life. Tugu Zixi rushed to the 5th level of qi refining with this breath, and then stopped. He slowly opened his eyes, looked at Shen Tianxing, and showed a bright and happy smile. Little Xing, I have reached the 5th level of qi refining now. I feel that my whole body is full of strength now. This feeling is really great. It's like I'm really alive now. Little star, you brought me all this. Thank you, I'm really grateful to you. I'm grateful. Shen Tianxing patted him gently. Zixi, I understand your mood. There is no need to say thank you between us. Everything I have was brought to me by you. Now, I am just like you said. Yes, I just give everything back to you. Tugu Zixi didn't care about the dirty odor on her body from practicing. She hugged Shen Tianxing with her arms and rubbed her head affectionately. Anyway, little Xing, you are the lucky star in my life, the one who saved me, the noble man of the day I was born. You gave me the courage and hope to live again. If it weren't for you, maybe I would no longer be in this world. Before, he was born with no pulse, and he had been suffering from this disease since he was a child. When he was terminally ill, even if he died like this, he would only have a kind of relief, and he would no longer miss such a painful life. But now, because of the appearance of Shen Tianxing, everything about him has changed. Tugu Zixi didn't know how to describe his mood. Although Shen Tianxing always said that everything she had was brought to her by him in the previous life. But in his heart, he was an illusory existence in his previous life. Even if Shen Tianxing told him the touching story between them, to him now, it was like a fairy tale. Only he and Shen Tianxing in front of him are real, living characters that he can touch and feel. Shen Tianxing was hugged by him for a while, and was almost fainted by the smell of his body. She quickly patted him and said with an angry smile, "You stink so much that it stunks me all over. Go and wash yourself quickly." Only then did Dugozixi react. Seeing the greasy and dirty smell all over his body, he jumped up in fright and rushed into the bathroom as fast as the wind. Dugozixi lamented while washing her body. It's over, little Xing Xing has seen him in his dirtiest, smelliest, and most ugly appearance. Will she dislike him? Will you not like him anymore? When Dugozixi finished washing and wanted to get some clothes to wear, he realized belatedly that he had no clothes. Dugozixi couldn't help but blush again when she thought about asking Shen Tianxing to find clothes for him. He held it in for a long time before he plucked up the courage and shouted to Shen Tianxing outside with a red face, "Little Xing Xing, can you help me find a set of clothes to come in?" After Dugozixi entered the bathroom, Shen Tianxing thought of the fact that he went in without clothes. However, she was so evil that she didn't remind him. She wanted to see his silly and adorable reaction. Ha ha ha. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 43. Now she has indeed seen it. Hearing the master's suppressed voice and imagining his handsome, red face, Shen Tianxing was secretly happy in her heart, but she still responded loudly, "Okay, I'll get it for you right away." This life space was originally shared by her and the master. There was also the master's room in it, with a lot of clothes stored there. However, the clothes stored by the master here are all the wide-sleeved fairy robes worn by people in the fairy world. They look as airy as a fairy and are full of fairy spirit. The master has always demanded refinement and perfection. His clothes are also white or silver wide-sleeved fairy robes with dark patterns. Ever since she came of age, all the clothes on her master's body were made by her own hands. Every time she made clothes and put the exquisite, low-key, but luxurious clothes on her master, she would always be stunned and feel that her master was the most beautiful in the entire fairy world. Immortal Lord. It's no wonder that Master is called the most beautiful man in the fairy world by the fairies in the fairy world. Countless fairies rush to him one after another for the sake of his master, just to win his favor. Shen Tianxing opened her master's closet and looked at the clothes she had made by herself. Thinking of the time she spent with her master in her previous life, her eyes couldn't help but heat up, and she felt a wave of heat rushing into her eyes. Shen Tianxing sniffed hard, found a white robe that her master had not had time to put on after she finished it, and took another set of underwear, folded them together, took them to the bathroom, and gently opened them. He opened the door and said, "Zixi, I brought you some clothes." Dugozixi waited inside for a long time, feeling very tortured and anxious. He wondered how his little star would laugh at him. At this moment, she finally heard Shen Tianxing's voice. Dugozixi instantly felt as if she heard the sound of nature. She quickly hid behind the door, opened the bathroom door, and stretched out his hand. Seeing that he was so cautious, Shen Tianxing felt a little regretful that he didn't even see the master's naked body. She wanted to tease her cute master and pretended to push the door open. Sure enough, Dugozixi was so frightened by her actions that she blushed and screamed loudly, "Little Xing Xing, don't come in, don't come in." Shen Tianxing suppressed his laughter and deliberately teased him, "Xiao Zixi, are you shy?" Dugozixi heard the smile in Shen Tianxing's voice and secretly gritted his teeth, "This little villain." He looked helpless and said, "Little Xing Xing, stop making trouble and give me your clothes." Shen Tianxing was afraid of going too far and hurting Dugozixi's self-esteem and pride, so she stopped and handed the clothes in. "Here you go." Dugozixi took the clothes handed over by Shen Tianxing. When she took them into her hands, she saw that the clothes were very delicate and beautiful, but they turned out to be ancient costumes. Although Dugozixi was surprised, At this time, he had no other choice and was too shy to trouble Shen Tianxing anymore, so he had to wear this ancient costume. Duguzixi has never worn ancient clothes, so she feels a little uncomfortable. I wonder if they look good? Will little star like it? He mentally cheered himself up for a long time, then opened the bathroom door, walked slowly, and walked out. Shen Tianxing stood outside the bathroom door, waiting for him to come out. As soon as he saw Duguzixi in ancient costume, who overlapped with the master in his memory, Shen Tianxing's eyes instantly turned red, and he rushed towards him, hugged him tightly, and shouted with a choked voice, "Master!" Duguzixi was hugged by Shen Tianxing, and when she heard her shouting "Master" excitedly, she felt a little sour in her heart. He wanted to push Shen Tianxing away and tell her that he was Duguzixi, her Zixi, not her master. But seeing how excited she was now, Duguzixi couldn't bear to push her away. Instead, he hugged her tightly in his arms, gently rubbing her back and comforting her silently. Shen Tianxing felt the warmth and comfort he brought, but his heart felt inexplicably sadder and tears kept falling. Everything in the past life can really never go back. In this life, her name is still Shen Tianxing, and he is still called Duguzixi, but many people and many things have changed. Everything has changed. Even if Shen Tianxing wants to get back the feeling he had with Duguzixi in his previous life, he can never go back. In this life, everything really has to start over, and she and her master also have to start over. Duguzixi didn't know why Shen Tianxing cried suddenly. He just stayed with her silently, patted her back silently, and never stopped. Shen Tianxing cried silently for a while, and after venting his inner depression, he cheered up again. She stretched out her hand to wipe away the tears on her face, and smiled at Duguzixi. "Xiao Zixi, I'm sorry. Did I scare you?" Duguzixi looked at her steadily and asked softly, "Why are you crying so sadly?" Shen Tianxing smiled, stretched out his hand and patted him. "It's all your fault. Why is it that only I have our memories? I remember everything, but you completely forgot about me, so I feel sad. Only then will I be sad, feeling as if I am alone in this world." Listening to Shen Tianxing's resentful words, Duguzixi's heart ached, and he opened his arms to hold her into his arms, and said to her solemnly, "Little Xing Xing, even if I have no memory of my previous life, you will always be with me. He is my only one. It was like this in the past life, and it will be like this in this life too. It will never change." Shen Tianxing felt warm in his heart, but he caught his language problem, raised his eyes and asked him, "There's something wrong with what you said. How do you know that you regarded me as your only one in your previous life?" Duguzixi stubbornly insisted, "I just know. I must have loved you in my previous life." Shen Tianxing asked again, "Then do you know why you don't accept me?" Duguzixi frowned lightly, "I haven't remembered it yet, but I think there must be a reason, and I'm sure." At this point, he suddenly stopped, his head throbbing with pain, and his face turned pale from the pain. Shen Tianxing saw something was wrong with him and quickly said to him, "Stop talking, sit down quickly, sit down. No matter what happened in the previous life, as long as we are all well in this life, that's all." Duguzixi gave up and thought about it again, and her head no longer hurt. He held Shen Tianxing's hand tightly and said to Shen Tianxing in a tone like an oath, "Little Xing Xing, listen, no matter in the past life or this life, I only have you. And there will only be you. Who else am I except you? Do not want any." Shen Tianxing felt like he was about to get drunk from his master's sweet words. She looked at Duguzixi, who had a serious look on her face, and said with a coquettish smile, "Master, do you know how tempting you are with your affectionate and focused look now? Dominating the powerful families, rebirth of the strongest Divinator." Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 44. Duguzixi's face turned red and she was speechless. He felt a little wronged. Who was teasing whom between them? He felt like he was being teased so much by her that his little heart was beating wildly, but she said, was it him who was teasing her? This girl is really capable of confusing right and wrong. Shen Tianxing looked at Tuguzixi's blushing face and felt that he was super cute. She really liked this master who was so expressive and emotional. What should she do? Just when the atmosphere was ambiguous, Shen Tianxing's alarm clock outside suddenly rang. When Shen Tianxing heard the alarm clock ringing, he exclaimed softly, "Oh, this night passed so quickly. It's already time for me to go to school." "Zixi, I'm going out to school, what should you do?" "You go out first, what? Or stay in space and continue practicing?" When Duguzixi heard her saying that she was going out, she quickly reached out to hold her and asked anxiously, "Little Xing, where are you studying now? How can I find you?" Shen Tianxing said to him seriously, "Zixi, I can leave you my address and mobile phone, but you can't come to me now." A trace of reluctance flashed in Duguzixi's eyes. But he thought of what Shen Tianxing had said before. Before he became stronger, he could only give up the idea of finding her and being with her. Duguzixi thought of this and nodded towards Shen Tianxing, "Okay, I won't look for you. When I miss you, I will enter the space to look for you. But I want to know, where are you living now? I want to find you when I'm with you. I hope I can find you at any time so that I can feel at ease, do you understand?" Shen Tianxing looked at him with a smile and nodded, "I understand. I will tell you my address and phone number right now. Remember it? My home is in the number 1 production team of Xiaxia Village, Dafang Town, Su City. I am currently in high school in Suzhou number 1 middle school, in grade 1, grade 1. My phone number is 138888888XX. Do you remember it?" Duguzixi's IQ was already extremely high. After reaching the 5th level of Qi refining, he now has a photographic memory and can recite everything he has heard once. In order to reassure Shen Tianxing, Duguzixi specially repeated it to Shen Tianxing. After hearing this, Shen Tianxing confirmed that it was correct, and then smiled and said, "That's right. Just remember it. Zixi, please also leave me your address and phone number. I can call you if I need anything." Duguzixi immediately reported his address and phone number. "My address is, Villa number 1, Royal Courtyard, Central District, Beijing. My home phone number is, 1000001, and my mobile phone is." When Duguzixi said this, she suddenly laughed helplessly, "I have forgotten that I have been sick before, rarely go out, and have never used my mobile phone." Shen Tianxing smiled and comforted him, "It's okay. Just go buy one next time and tell me then." In her heart, she was already secretly shocked. The address of his home and the special phone number made it clear that it was the area and number where the core of the Kingdom of China was located. The master in this life is still very good at his reincarnation skills, and his reincarnated identity is still so awesome. After the two exchanged addresses and phone numbers, Shen Tianxing said to Duguzixi, "Zixi, see you later." Duguzixi was very reluctant to let Shen Tianxing leave, but she had to go to school and he couldn't keep her, so he had to wave to her reluctantly, "See you later." Seeing Shen Tianxing disappear out of thin air, Duguzixi sighed softly and stepped out of the life space. It was already 7:30 the next morning outside. He actually stayed in that space all night without knowing it, but it felt as if he and Shen Tianxing had been there for a long, long time. He felt inexplicably familiar with Shen Tianxing, felt inexplicably close to her, and had an inexplicable urge to hold her tightly and never let go. Maybe, this is what little Xing said, the fate of the past life. Duguzixi opened the door to his room, only to find that his grandfather and grandmother were walking around the door of his room anxiously. As soon as they saw Duguzixi coming out, they immediately looked excited and happy, and rushed forward to ask him, "Zixi, are you awake? How do you feel? Are you feeling better? Zixi, are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? Dugozixi felt the deep concern of her grandfather and grandma, and smiled slightly and said, Grandpa, Grandma, I am very good, I have never been better. Let's go down. I will tell you something carefully. If you listen, you will be happy. Mr. Dugu and Mrs. Dugu looked at each other, smiled and said, Okay, then let's go downstairs to have breakfast and chat while we eat. Dugozixi asked again, Where are my parents? Mrs. Dugu replied, Your father went to the military headquarters early in the morning, and your mother is downstairs, making breakfast with Fu's mother. When the grandfather and grandson went downstairs, they saw Dugozixi's mother, Yaningning, bringing 2 plates of side dishes to the table. Dugozixi noticed that those were his favorite side dishes. As soon as Yaningning saw her son coming out, she immediately greeted him happily, Zixi, are you awake? Come over for breakfast. Mom has made a lot of your favorite things for you. While Yaningning was talking, she looked at the complexion on her son's face. Seeing that her son's complexion was very good, and even the white part was red, she couldn't help but feel a little more grateful to the expert who cured her son. Without that expert, her only son, her heart and soul, would be gone. If she had the chance to meet that expert, she would definitely thank her properly. Dugozixi smiled and hugged Yaningning, Mom, thank you for all your hard work these years. When Yaningning said this to her son, she immediately felt that all the hardships had finally come to an end. She felt warm, touched, and incomparably appropriate. With red eyes, she said with a tearful smile, It's not hard for Mom. As long as you do well, Mom will be happy. Dugozixi smiled and took a small teacup from the side. When he put his hands together, the teacup instantly turned into a pile of powder. He smiled and said to the frightened Mr. Dugu, Mrs. Dugu, and Yaningning, Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, look, I'm fine now, you can rest assured. After a while, Mr. Dugu, Mrs. Dugu and Yaningning recovered from the shock. Mr. Dugu asked Dugozixi excitedly, Zixi, what's going on with you? Tell Grandpa quickly. Dugozixi smiled slightly and said, Grandpa, don't get excited first, let's sit down and talk. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 45. Mr. Dugu, the old lady, and Yaningning hurriedly sat down, looking impatiently waiting for Dugozixi to quickly explain to them. Dugozixi said to Fuma and Mr. Dugu's bodyguard Lu Yan who were standing nearby, Fuma, brother Lu Yan, you go down first. Although Fuma and Lu Yan are also very curious, they want to know how Dugozixi transformed from a sick young man on the verge of death to a martial arts master in the blink of an eye. But the host didn't want them to listen, and they didn't dare to stay for a moment longer. They simply responded, yes, and retreated. When Dugozixi saw that only her 3 closest relatives were there, she lowered her voice and said to them, Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, let me tell you some good news. All these abilities of mine are the result of the tall man who saved me taught by others. She also let me join their sect, which is a very ancient sect called Tianji Pavilion. They know astrology, divination, fortune telling, feng shui, medical skills and other magical things. Mr. Dugu and others are in high positions, so they naturally know some things about these hidden sects, but he has never heard of the Tianji Pavilion that Dugozixi is talking about. Is this a sect that is not born in the world? Mr. Dugu was guessing in his mind when he heard his grandson Dugozixi say again, Tianji Pavilion is a sect that is hidden from the world. Their disciples are very rare, but every disciple is very powerful. Mr. Dugu couldn't help but ask again, then why did they want to save you and let you in? Dugozixi winked at Mr. Dugu, of course it's because your grandson is smart. He. But Mr. Dugu didn't believe his words, so he straightened his face and said, "Don't hit me, haha. Hurry up and tell the truth." Mrs. Tugu was not happy when she saw that her old man was bullying her precious grandson again. "You damn old man, did Arzixi say something wrong? Arzixi is just smart. People like him. What's wrong with him? Strange." When Mr. Tugu saw his old lady showing off her power, he immediately became frightened. He looked at his grandson helplessly and signaled to him with his eyes that you should explain to him quickly. Duguzixi saw that he was just joking, so in order to protect him, Grandma got into a fight with Grandpa again. He quickly put away the smile on his face and said to Mr. Dugu, "Grandma and Mother, the real reason is that this master is actually a girl. She said that she figured out that she and I had a relationship in the previous life. This fate was broken, and this life is here to renew it, so after figuring out where I was, she specially came to find me, cured me, and led me into the door of TNG Pavilion. Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, let's not spread the word about this matter until I learn more about it." However, Mr. Dugu, the old lady and Yaningning all seemed not to have heard Duguzixi's instructions. They all grasped those key words one by one. The master is a girl. The master calculated that Zixi and she had a previous relationship, and they were here to renew their relationship in this life. The master led ZI-11 into the gate of TNG Pavilion. This TNG Pavilion sounds very powerful. Look at their ZI-11, overnight, they were able to turn ZI-11 from a sick child into a super master. Mr. Dugu and the others can fully imagine how powerful this person from TNG Pavilion is. Mr. Dugu sighed with emotion. If the country had such talented people born to help the country train soldiers in the army, why would they have to worry about being bullied by others? His old man's thoughts wandered further and further away. Mrs. Dugu here couldn't hold back and asked directly, "Zixi, how old is that girl? She said that you had a relationship in the past life and you will continue it in this life. So is there any agreement between you?" Duguzixi thought of Shen Tianxing, who was as beautiful as a fairy. A trace of tenderness flashed in her eyes. She smiled slightly at her grandma and mother and said, "Grandma, Mom, she is only 12 years old this year. She is a very beautiful little fairy. Her skills are also very, very powerful. She has a fairy spirit. She is not like a mortal, but she is also very nice. She has no airs of being a master at all, and she takes good care of me. I really like her so much. I like her so much." Seeing the deep affection that could not be hidden in her grandson's eyes when he talked about Shen Tianxing, Mrs. Dugu became excited. She slapped the table and said, "Then you should quickly settle on her and marry her. Come home." Yaningning also nodded fiercely and said, "Zixi, your grandma is right. For such a good and capable girl, you have to take advantage of her quickly. If she is snatched away by others, by then it will be too late for you to regret it." Seeing the nervousness between her grandma and her mother, Duguzixi couldn't help laughing and said, "Grandma, Mom, she won't run away. She said that she and I are destined to be together. In this life, we are destined to be together." Yaningning asked anxiously, "Then when will you bring her home so that we can all see her?" Mr. Dugu and Mrs. Dugu also said, "Yes, yes, hurry up and bring her back to your family so that we can all see her." Duguzixi smiled and responded, "Then I'll ask her and I'll tell you then." Mr. Dugu laughed loudly and said, "Arzixi is really amazing, she is a blessed child. Let's see, finding a little wife is better than others, ha 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 ha." Mrs. Dugu also looked at her precious grandson with a look of relief, and said with emotion, "Yes, Arzixi is a very blessed child. Zixi has endured so many difficulties over the years, and now he is it's totally great. We have found a little wife again. We can rest assured, even if my old woman has to close her eyes, she can still smile." Mrs. Dugu was so excited that she burst into tears as she spoke. Duguzixi wiped the old lady's tears with a tissue and coaxed her, Grandma, I'm not saying this to make you cry, but to make you both happy. Stop crying. Otherwise, my grandson's heart will be broken by your tears. Mrs. Dugu was coaxed by Dugu Zixi so much that she burst out laughing again. You kid, you know how to coax people. Mr. Dugu also coaxed his old wife. Zixi is right, this is a good thing. Why are you crying? Stop crying. Zixi, tell us about this child again. A trace of embarrassment flashed across Dugu Zixi's face. Grandpa, I have to ask her about her whereabouts and wait until she agrees before I can announce it to you. Mr. Dugu also understood the eccentricities of these masters. Then you should talk to her and ask her, when will she be willing to come to our house and sit for a while. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Ju. Chapter 46. Dugu Zixi smiled gently and spoke in a very calm and gentle tone. I will ask her. She is still studying and is still young. She said she did not want to be famous and wanted to live a quiet life for a few more years, so she has been hiding in the world. Living a small life like an ordinary person. When Mr. Dugu heard that little Xing was living an ordinary life, his eyes suddenly lit up. It's true that he is hiding from the world. If it weren't for Zixi, we would never have imagined that there would be such a young person in this world. The master exists. In his opinion, as long as he didn't live in the deep mountains and old forests, it would be fine. If he was really the kind of person who was isolated from the world, he would be more worried. But an expert like this who has lived in seclusion in the ordinary world for a long time will definitely understand the ways of the world better, and will be more comfortable getting along with her in the future, without the need for people like them to raise their heads to respect her and look up to her. Dugu Zixi smiled and explained to them what happened next. Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, in the next period of time, I will learn from little Xing. Little Xing knows magic. She can pick me up directly from the room. Don't enter my room easily in the future. If you call me, if I don't respond, or if you find that I'm not in the room, don't worry about me, I'm definitely with little Star. After hearing this, Mr. Dugu said to him seriously, Zixi, you are the only meow meow of our Dugu family. We can do all the things you told us, but how can we be sure that you are not in the room? Was it taken away by little Star? Or was it taken away by someone else? Dugu Zixi chuckled softly and said, Grandpa, you have forgotten that I am also a martial arts master now. It is not as easy for ordinary people to touch me as before. After thinking about it, Dugu Zixi added, but Grandpa, you are right to remind me. Let's do this. If I follow little Star and leave, I will put a smiley face sticker on the back of the door, just in case I forget to put it on one day. With this smiley face sticker, if you call me loudly in my room, I should be able to hear your call. Hearing what Dugu Zixi said, Mr. Dugu was relieved. Okay, just do as you say. Anyway, you are still young now. In the past few years, you have worked hard to improve your abilities. At home, you don't need to worry about it for the time being. Thank you, Grandpa. With these words from his old man, Dugu Zixi can safely practice with little Xing. Thinking that he still had several years of happy life, Dugu Zixi even smiled. At this time, Yaningning asked him again, Zixi, is the little Star you mentioned the name of that expert? Dugu Zixi nodded, yes. Seeing that Yaningning wanted to ask more questions, Dugu Zixi quickly stretched out her hand to stop her. Mom, please don't ask any more. I have to ask her about everything about little Xing. Only after she agrees can I follow her. Please elaborate. If she doesn't agree, I can't say anything. Yaningning glared at her son and said to her son with a deliberately plaintive face, no wonder people say that when a son gets older, he will have a wife and forget about his mother. Look, you haven't married Xiaoxing yet. If you listen to her like this, my mother will have no place in your heart. Zhuge Zixi looked helplessly at the drama queen's mother. Mom, stop pretending. No matter what time, my family will always be my most important relatives. Even if I marry Xiaoxing, you will only if you have one more person who is filial. No one will compete with you for status, so don't worry. Yaningning glared at her son and deliberately teased him. You brat, you're already protecting little Xing before she even gets married. Zhuge Zixi was speechless, too lazy to argue with his naughty mother. Seeing that her son was ignoring her, Yaningning stopped arguing. She looked up at the time and exclaimed, "Oh, I have to go to work. See you later, son." Zhuge Zixi waved to her, and looking at his lively mother, he warned her with concern, "Mom, be careful on the road." Yaningning responded loudly, "I know." Her voice still rang in her ears, but she had already disappeared. Mrs. Zhuge smiled and shook her head. "Your mother is almost 40 years old, but her temperament is still so cheerful, happy and carefree. It's really enviable." Zhuge Zixi immediately said, "Grandma, don't think so much. The sky is falling, and Grandpa is holding it up. Behind Grandpa, there is my dad, and me. In short, the women in our family, as long as you know how to enjoy yourself, we will take care of everything else." Mrs. Zhuge looked at her sweet-tongued eldest grandson and was extremely satisfied. She said to her old man, "Old man, look at our Zixi's mouth. Oh, it's so sweet that it makes my heart blossom, ha 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 ha." Mr. Zhuge's always serious face also started to laugh. Zhuge Zixi finished breakfast with the two elders, and then said to Mr. Zhuge, "Grandpa, I will go back to my room to continue studying. I will come out to have breakfast with you tomorrow morning." Mr. Zhuge looked at him lovingly and waved to him, "Go, go, remember to ask little Xing, when will you come to our house for dinner?" Zhuge Zixi smiled and said, "I will remember to ask her." After Zhuge Zixi returned to her room, she slipped into the life space again. At this time, Shen Tianxing was walking outside the number 1 middle school. She sensed that Zhuge Zixi had entered the space, so she just smiled and did not tease him anymore, leaving him to study quietly in the space. Practice. As soon as Shen Tianxing walked to the school gate, he was surrounded by 6 tall men. The leader, a tall and strong young man, asked Shen Tianxing in a deep voice, "Are you Shen Tianxing?" Shen Tianxing raised his eyes and glanced at them a few times, then said calmly, "I am Shen Tianxing, what do you have to do with me?" The man replied in a deep voice, "We are from An's Construction, and our boss would like to ask you to come over." Shen Tianxing raised his lips and sneered, "An's Construction? Sorry, I haven't heard of it. If you want to see me, let him come in person. Now, please get out of the way, I have to go to class." Seeing that Shen Tianxing was so dishonest, the man also darkened his face, "What if I don't let you?" At this time, many students were already gathered at the gate of number 1 middle school. But when these students saw these 6 tall and fierce men, no one dared to say anything. The security guard guarding the gate only dared to call the superiors and report to them what happened here. Seeing that they refused to give way, Shen Tianxing immediately turned cold and said, "I'll count 1, 2, 3. If you don't give way, don't blame me for being rude to you." Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 47. The other man behind the young man heard Shen Tianxing's words and suddenly laughed sarcastically, "Hey, stinky girl, your tone is quite loud. Then tell me, how can you be rude to us?" As soon as his voice fell, he heard Shen Tianxing's voice counting slowly, 1, 2. When Shen Tianxing counted to 3, they still didn't get out of the way. Instead, they looked at Shen Tianxing as if they were laughing at her. wondering what she was going to do with them. Shen Tianxing didn't say any more words to them, and directly picked up the magic formula between his fingers. An evil spirit invisible to the naked eye instantly invaded the minds of the 6 vicious men. The faces of the 6 men changed drastically, their bodies were shaking uncontrollably, and their legs kept moving back. They felt as if they had stepped into a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The poor people they had bullied in the past crawled out of the pile of corpses one by one, opened their bloody mouths, and charged at them viciously with a grin. Among the 6 men, one with weak willpower finally broke down first and shouted in horror, "Ghost, there is a ghost, there is a ghost, go away, don't come to catch me, don't come and catch me, ah ah ah." As soon as he shouted, his 5 accomplices also collapsed, and they all shouted in horror, "Ghost, there is a ghost, there is a ghost. Run! Run! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! I didn't kill you! I didn't kill you! Don't come to settle accounts with me." When Shen Tianxing heard what the last man said when he collapsed, his eyes tightened slightly. She secretly pinched another magic formula between her fingers and cast a mantra on these 6 people, asking them to surrender themselves to the Public Security Bureau and plead guilty. The onlookers saw the 6 men suddenly shouting "There is a ghost, there is a ghost," and ran away. Everyone felt inexplicably strange, as if there was a sinister wind blowing around them, as if it was real. Like a ghost. The timid classmates turned pale with fright, and they all ran into the school quickly. By the time the school leaders and security personnel arrived at the school gate, the matter was over. When the school leaders heard the security guard at the gate say that there was no fight between the 2 parties, they breathed a long sigh of relief. Under the curious eyes of his classmates, Shen Tianxing also walked into the school with his school bag on his back. Before entering the classroom, Shen Tianxing thought for a while and called his second uncle Shen Wenzheng. "Hey, second uncle, it's me, Xiao Xing, are you at work?" As soon as Shen Wenzheng heard Shen Tianxing's voice, he felt particularly good. He deliberately teased her and said, "Little Xing, why did you call your second uncle so early? Do you miss your second uncle?" Shen Tianxing chuckled softly, "Yes, I miss my second uncle. Second uncle, let me tell you something. This morning, 6 men came to school to cause trouble for me." Before Shen Tianxing finished speaking, Shen Wenzheng, who was on the defensive side, jumped up when he heard that someone was looking for trouble for Shen Tianxing. "What did you say?" "There is a blind bastard looking for trouble with you. Little Xing, don't be afraid, tell the second uncle, who dares to touch you. The second uncle will kill them." Shen Tianxing felt Shen Wenzhen's feelings of protecting her, and her heart warmed, and she said with a smile, "Second uncle, don't be impatient. Just listen to me, okay? Okay, you say. Only then did Shen Wenzheng realize what Shen Tianxing was capable of. Those idiots who dared to trouble little Xing were simply impatient and asking for trouble. Shen Tianxing continued, "Second uncle, I heard something said by a man. Something seemed wrong. He said he did not kill the person. I have asked them to go to the Public Security Bureau to find you to surrender and plead guilty. Second uncle, you will be at the station soon. Pay attention here and see what they say. Also, they said they are from An's Construction. You can also help me check this An's Construction. What grudges do they have with me?" Shen Wenzheng agreed without saying a word. "Okay, the second uncle will go over immediately and make sure to pry open their mouths and not let them lose any news. However, little Xing, you must also pay attention to your safety. You must protect yourself, you know." Shen Tianxing smiled and replied, "I know, second uncle, don't worry, there are probably not many people in the world who can deal with me. Second uncle, I won't say anything, the head teacher is here, I want to enter the classroom." Shen Wenzheng also said quickly, Okay, Go quickly, come to the second uncle's house for dinner when you have time. Shen Tianxing smiled and said, I know. Goodbye, second uncle. Goodbye. Shen Wenzhong put down his cell phone, stood up quickly, put on his police uniform, got in his car, and sped towards the Public Security Bureau. Shen Tianxing also taught the Shen family members a set of internal skills and mental techniques, as well as a set of Shen family boxing she created, so that all members of the family who did not have spiritual roots to practice martial arts began to practice martial arts. Just relying on the set of internal skills and Shen family boxing taught by Shen Tianxing, the martial arts value of everyone in the Shen family has been greatly improved, and they have a radius of hundreds of miles and a great reputation. Shen Tianxing's 5 cousins have high martial arts, good physical fitness, and good looks. In the past 10 years, under Shen Tianxing's deliberate training, they also developed martial arts, and were admitted to the Central Police Academy, Central Military Academy, and Central National Defense University. Her eldest cousin Shen Tianrui has now graduated from the Central Police College and been assigned to a branch police station under the Suzhou Public Security Bureau as a criminal investigation police officer. The second cousin Shen Tianzi has also graduated from the Central Military Academy and is now a glorious soldier in the Beijing war zone. The third cousin, Shen Tianbo, was very naughty when he was a child and was often beaten by his uncle. But when he grew up, Shen Tianbo was as successful as his brothers and was admitted to the Central National Defense University. He is currently studying for graduate school and has not graduated yet. The 2 cousins of the second uncle's family are also studying at the Central Police College and have not yet graduated. This is a later story. Shen Tianxing quickly sat down in his seat before the head teacher Wang Ziqiang entered the classroom. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 48. Wu Haishan, who was sitting next to Shen Tianxing, immediately put his head over when he saw Shen Tianxing coming and asked in a low voice, Shen Tianxing, why are you here so late? Shen Tianxing responded with a faint smile, there was something outside that delayed us a little. Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng all arrived earlier, so they didn't know what happened to Shen Tianxing outside the school gate. Wu Haishan wanted to say a few more words to Shen Tianxing, but when he saw that Wang Ziqiang had entered the classroom, he had to sit up straight, thinking that he would have a good chat with Shen Tianxing after class. As Shen Tianxing's class teacher, Wang Ziqiang also knew about this before going to class. Although Wang Ziqiang only met Shen Tianxing yesterday, he was quite impressed by Shen Tianxing, a talented girl in their class who combines beauty and intelligence. Wang Ziqiang also wanted to train Shen Tianxing well so that Shen Tianxing, a talented girl, could add glory to his teaching career. Wang Ziqiang felt very angry when he heard that a man from outside was looking for trouble with Shen Tianxing. He walked into the classroom with a dark face. He glanced at Shen Tianxing first to make sure she was okay, and then looked around at the students in the class. Seeing that En Mixu's seat was still empty, Wang Ziqiang's face turned darker. He asked Che Xiaoi in a deep voice, Che Xiaoi, did En Mixu still not come today? Did you go find her yesterday? When Shen Tianxing heard the name En Mixu, she suddenly thought of the 6 men who came today and claimed to be An's construction. Could it be that these men were sent by En Mixu to take revenge on her? If that's the case, then there's something fun to watch. Although there were many students outside who saw the madness and strangeness of the 6 men before, no one connected this matter to the young Shen Tianxing. They all just thought that the 6 men were possessed by evil spirits and went crazy, which was why they behaved like this. As soon as Che Xiaoi heard Wang Ziqiang call her name, she stood up tremblingly and cautiously replied, Teacher, I went to see En Mixu yesterday. She said. Wang Ziqiang saw that she was stammering for a long time and couldn't tell the result. He couldn't help but said angrily, what did she say? Tell me quickly. When Che Xiaoi saw the head teacher and the whole class looking at her, she felt even more nervous, as if she was about to cry, she said, she will never study in this bad school again. As soon as Che Xiaoi finished speaking, all the students sneered and protested seriously that Enmigxiu dared to say that the best key middle school in Su City was a bad school. Che Xiaoi saw the unkind eyes of her classmates when they looked at her, and quickly explained with a cry, I didn't say this, it was Enmigxiu who said it. I just repeated her words to the teacher and classmates. Listen, don't misunderstand me. Wang Ziqiang suppressed the anger in his heart and waved his hand towards Che Xiaoi. Che Xiaoi, you sit down first. After seeing Che Xiaoi sit down, Wang Ziqiang said to the students, okay, let's not talk about Enmigxiu in class. Now we start class. Students, please turn to the first lesson page. Wang Ziqiang teaches English. After the main lesson, Shen Tianxing praised Wang Ziqiang's professional knowledge. His spoken English is very standard, and his voice is a bit deep. It is really an auditory enjoyment to listen to him read the text in English with a rhythm. While Shen Tianxing and the others were in class, Enmigxiu and her father were also waiting at home for the 6 men to bring them good news. Unexpectedly, after waiting and waiting, the 6 men did not come back. Instead, a group of national police from the Public Security Bureau came to the door. Are you Ndequan and Enmigxiu? Ndequan, who has been tested for a long time, even when he saw the national police coming to his door, he still looked calm and collected. I am Ndequan. I wonder if the police officers came to the door. What's the matter? The person who led the team to arrest Ndequan and Enmigxiu was Zhang Yuquan, the current captain of the Criminal Investigation Detachment. Zhang Yuquan was the deputy captain who used to follow Shen Wenzheng. After Shen Wenzheng was promoted, a group of his capable generals followed Shen Wenzheng all the way up. Zhang Yuquan took out the detention certificate and said, there are several cases that require the cooperation of Mr. N and Miss N to investigate. Please come with us. Enmigxiu turned pale with fright, grabbed Ndequan's arm, and said in panic, Dad, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Looking at this big-breasted and brainless young lady, a trace of sarcasm flashed across Zhang Yuquan's eyes. Just these 2 idiots still want to deal with their sky star goddess? Have you tasted the bitter pill now? Haha, this father and daughter are really a typical example of if you don't do something, you will die, they deserve it. When Ndequan and Enmigxiu were escorted into the police car, he still looked calm. But when he saw the irrefutable evidence placed in front of him, his heart suddenly went cold. There were only 2 big words in his mind, it's over. At number 1 middle school, as soon as the morning class was over, Wu Haishan came up to Shen Tianxing, smiled warmly and said to her, Shen Tianxing, I'll treat you to dinner, along with Zhang Hua and Ling Feng. Shen Tianxing nodded and said, you don't have to invite me, I'll invite you. Wu Haishan waved his hand and said boldly, are you kidding? We are grown men, how can we ask girls to treat us? Let's go to the restaurant on the 2nd floor to eat. At this moment, Shen Tianxing's cell phone rang. She glanced at Wu Haishan and the others apologetically, you go and order first. I'll answer the phone first and be there right away. When Wu Haishan saw Shen Tianxing casually taking out the most popular high-end mobile phone, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that classmate Shen Tianxing's family was quite rich. He also said wisely, okay, let's go over and order food first. It's the restaurant on the 2nd floor. Come over soon. Shen Tianxing smiled and nodded, then walked to a quiet place aside with his cell phone, and answered the call from his second uncle Shen Wenzheng. Second uncle. Shen Wenzhen's voice came over instantly, Xiao Xing, is get out of class over? Shen Tianxing smiled and replied, well, let's go. Did those people recruit them? Shen Wenzheng sighed softly, Xiao Xing, you must have never imagined that these 6 men are the backbone of An's construction security department. They usually do dirty things for An's construction's boss Ndequan. Now they have dug out Ndaquan. There are a lot of things that could put Ndaquan in jail for a lifetime, and his daughter is not a good person either. She has harmed several girls because of her family's status, so she has to be sent to a labor camp. After listening to Shen Wenzhen's words, Shen Tianxing smiled slightly and said, "Second uncle, we can be considered as unintentionally avenging those who were harmed by them. This means that evil will be punished, and it is not that we will not retaliate. The time has not yet come." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 49. Shen Wenzheng also smiled with emotion and said, "Yes, they all have to thank you very much. Without you, how could we have solved so many cases in Su City over the years so smoothly?" Shen Tianxing smiled and said, "Second uncle, please stop praising me. If nothing goes wrong, I will go to dinner first. I just made an appointment with some classmates to have dinner together. It's not good to keep them waiting for a long time." When Shen Wenzheng heard this, he quickly said, "Then go and eat quickly. Don't starve our little star." Shen Tianxing chuckled, "Okay, second uncle, that's it. If you need my help with anything, just tell me." If Shen Tianxing were in front of Shen Wenzheng would definitely hold Shen Tianxing and rub her head hard. This kid is so sweet. Over the years, she returned all the kindness they had done to her in her own way, 1,000 times over. Everyone in the Shen family wanted to hold this girl in their hands and protect her, not letting her do anything, just letting her play happily. Shen Wenzheng was moved in his heart and said, "Little Xing, if it is not a big problem that cannot be solved, my second uncle will let the boys in the bureau deal with it and try not to bother you and avoid making them dependent on you. You don't like to use your brain for anything, so what will we do if you go to the capital to study?" Shen Tianxing smiled and said, "What the second uncle said makes sense, so this is what we have to do." Shen Wenzheng originally had something to say, but when he thought that Shen Tianxing hadn't eaten yet, he said distressedly, "Hurry up and eat, my second uncle has hung up the phone." Shen Tianxing smiled and replied, "Okay, second uncle, goodbye." Shen Wenzheng also smiled, "Goodbye, little Xing, please take care of yourself. Know it?" After hanging up the call to his second uncle, Shen Tianxing quickly ran towards the restaurant on the second floor of the cafeteria. The first floor of the canteen is a large dining hall for serving dishes, which is suitable for public consumption. The restaurant on the second floor serves a la carte stir fries, which is niche and has a relatively high consumption level. When Shen Tianxing arrived on the second floor, Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng were already sitting by the window, with 2 fried dishes placed in front of them. As soon as Wu Haishan and Zhang Hua saw Shen Tianxing coming, they immediately waved to her, Tianxing, this way, this way." Gao Lingfeng looked at Shen Tianxing with a cool face and walked towards them with a smile. Only the turbulence in his eyes showed the uneasiness in his heart when he saw Shen Tianxing. A beautiful girl like an elf is very popular no matter where she is placed. As soon as Shen Tianxing entered the restaurant on the second floor, countless people paid her attention and asked each other in low voices, "Is this little beauty a new student? Which class is she in?" Shen Tianxing has powerful 5 senses and sharp ears and eyes. She heard everyone's conversations in the restaurant. However, this phenomenon is simply too normal for her, and as long as they are not malicious towards her, she will not pay attention to them. When Shen Tianxing walked quickly to Wu Haishan and the others, Zhang Hua had already pulled out the chair next to Shen Tianxing in a gentlemanly manner. Wu Haishan and Gao Lingfeng secretly despised Zhang Hua in their hearts. This guy is really sinister and he attacks so quickly. Shen Tianxing looked at the 3 male classmates exchanging glances there, and couldn't help but smile, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you hurry up and eat? Class will start soon. Wu Haishan immediately picked up the small spoon diligently and filled Shen Tianxing with a spoonful of shrimps, pine nuts, and corn. Tianxing, come on, try this quickly and see if it tastes good. Shen Tianxing smiled and said to Wu Haishan, classmate Wu Haishan, please stop picking up food for me. I will take care of myself. You can eat more. Upon hearing this, Zhang Hua realized that he had no chance to show off his courtesy. He saw the teapot next to him, quickly picked it up and poured tea for Shen Tianxing. Classmate Tianxing, are you thirsty? Drink some tea quickly to quench your thirst. Shen Tianxing glanced at them helplessly. Okay, you two, hurry up and eat. If you continue to be so polite, I won't eat with you next time. When Wu Haishan and Zhang Hua heard this, they quickly waved their hands. Okay, eat, we won't pick up food or water for you, you can do it yourself. Shen Tianxing saw them finally picking up the chopsticks, and the four of them started to move quickly. The next dishes were spicy and sour potato shreds, fish-flavored eggplant, mapo tofu, and green pepper scrambled eggs. Seeing 4 people eating 6 dishes, which were quite generous portions, Shen Tianxing originally wanted to ask, could they finish it? But when he saw the 3 big boys eating like a storm, they immediately shut their mouths. Sure enough, by the end of the meal, all 6 plates were gone. Wu Haishan saw that Shen Tianxing didn't seem to have eaten much, so he said to Shen Tianxing with an embarrassed look, Tianxing, I'm sorry, we are so hungry that you haven't even had enough to eat. Shen Tianxing smiled and said, I'm a girl and my appetite is relatively small. You're welcome, I'm already full. Seeing that class time was still more than half an hour away, after Wu Haishan rushed to pay the bill, they continued to sit in the restaurant and chat. When class was about to begin in the afternoon, a young man wearing glasses hurried into the restaurant. He looked around and ran directly to Zhang Hua. Zhang Hua, Principal Zhang suddenly fell into a coma. He has been sent to the hospital now. You should go there quickly. Zhang Hua's grandfather is Zhang Chuangxiu, the principal of Su City No. 1 Middle School. The young man who came to report the news to Zhang Hua was Zhang Chuangxiu's assistant Li Weihua. When Zhang Hua heard that his grandfather suddenly fell into a coma, his face turned pale with fright, and he stood up suddenly, forgetting to say goodbye to his 3 classmates, and rushed outside. Li Weihua waved to the 3 of them and chased after them. Wu Haishan had the best relationship with Zhang Hua. Seeing how sad his brother was now, he quickly stood up and yelled at Zhang Hua, wait for me, I will go with you. Shen Tianxing thought for a while, then got up and chased after her to see if she could be of any help. When Gao Lingfeng saw everyone running away, he quickly followed them. Li Weihua drove the school bus and took the 4 of them to Su City First People's Hospital. When Shen Tianxing and the others accompanied Zhang Hua to the hospital, the doctors were still thinking about how to save Principal Zhang in the emergency room. After the chief physician's judgment, Principal Zhang found that this was cerebral hemorrhage caused by a brain tumor. The amount of bleeding was relatively large and the patient's life was in danger, so craniotomy must be performed immediately. The chief physician immediately said to his assistant, go out and talk to the patient's family about this, issue a critical illness notice to the patient's family, and ask them to sign immediately to prepare for craniotomy. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 50. Yes. The chief physician's assistant opened the door to the emergency room and asked the crowd outside, which of you is the patient's family member? Zhang Hua quickly stood up and responded, Doctor, I am a family member of the patient. How is my grandpa doing now? Is he feeling better? The chief physician's assistant glanced at Zhang Hua and replied in a deep voice, the patient's condition is not very optimistic. He suffered a cerebral hemorrhage caused by a brain tumor, and the amount of bleeding was relatively large. Now the patient's life is in danger, and a craniotomy must be performed immediately. This classmate, are you still a minor? Where are your parents? Didn't they come? Zhang Hua said anxiously, I have already called my parents. They are on their way here. Can't I sign for this surgery? The chief physician's assistant glanced at Zhang Hua's school uniform, shook his head and said, you are a minor and have no capacity for civil conduct. Your signature has no legal effect. If you are over 16 years old, but you can, it is possible that the income from labor can be regarded as a person with full capacity for civil conduct as his own source of livelihood. But you are still a student and do not have your own source of livelihood, so it is obviously not acceptable. Zhang Hua was so anxious that he scratched his hair and asked impatiently, what should we do? What should we do? The chief physician's assistant reminded him in a deep voice, you'd better call your father and your mother quickly. The patient's condition is very critical now. The sooner the surgery is done, the better. Time waits for no one. Zhang Hua nodded repeatedly, I know, I'll call my parents right away to urge them. Hurry up. Zhang Hua took out his cell phone from his pocket with trembling hands, and pressed his father's cell phone number with trembling hands. Sorry. The phone you dialed has been turned off. Zhang Hua called again without giving up, but what came from the other end of the phone was still the mechanized female voice, sorry. The phone you dialed has been turned off. He continued to call. Or it prompts that the other party has shut down. Zhang Hua looked desperate and helpless. How could his father shut down his phone at such a critical and worrying time? Shen Tianxing saw the fear and anxiety on this young man's face, and his eyes were full of fear. She couldn't bear it, so she reached out and patted his back gently, Zhang Hua, your grandpa will be fine, don't worry too much. While comforting him, Shen Tianxing smoothly penetrated Zhang Hua's spiritual power into his body, helping him suppress the anger and negative energy in his body and calming him down. She thought in her heart that if these doctors really couldn't save Principal Zhang, then she would help him just for Zhang Hua's sake. To be honest, if Wu Haishan, Zhang Hua and Gao Lingfeng hadn't shown enough kindness and enthusiasm to Shen Tianxing on the first day she arrived at school, Shen Tianxing wouldn't have followed him just because something happened to his family. Want to help? Sometimes, the kindness you show to others unintentionally may, at a critical moment in the future, get a completely unexpected return. Zhang Hua also felt that Shen Tianxing's soft little hand on his back seemed to bring a warm and stable force, which calmed his restless and fearful mood in an instant. He glanced at Shen Tianxing gratefully, Tianxing, thank you. I will silently bless Grandpa in my heart. At this moment, another female nurse wearing a nurse's uniform hurriedly ran over and quickly entered the operating room next to her to clean up. Shen Tianxing and the others' hearts skipped a beat. Could it be that another seriously ill patient was about to be sent in? Immediately afterwards, Shen Tianxing and the others saw several doctors and nurses walking hurriedly towards the entrance of the hospital. After a while, they saw them pushing an ambulance rushing toward the operating room. As they walked, they shouted, make way, make way. When Shen Tianxing saw the man lying in the ambulance, his eyes suddenly narrowed. That man's soul is slowly leaving his body. He seemed a little confused at first, but then he seemed to come to his senses, and immediately followed the ambulance with an anxious look on his face. He seemed unwilling to die like this. His soul body kept rushing towards his body, trying to integrate back into his body, but it was unable to enter. Seeing the desperate look on his face, Shen Tianxing suddenly felt that his features were familiar. When Shen Tianxing's eyes swept across Zhang Hua's face, Shen Tianxing's heart suddenly twitched. Why do that man and Zhang Hua look so similar? Could it be that? Shen Tianxing couldn't even imagine it anymore. Just when Shen Tianxing was shocked, the man had also discovered Zhang Hua. His soul body trembled, and he shouted to Zhang Hua in horror, Xiao Hua, Xiao Hua, Xiao Hua. Unfortunately, Zhang Hua couldn't see his soul body, let alone hear what he said. Shen Tianxing couldn't bear it, but at this time, he had to remind Zhang Hua, look at the man in the rescue vehicle. Why do I feel that he looks similar to you? Zhang Hua was shocked and looked over in disbelief. He thought about the conversation he had just heard between the doctor and the nurse, saying that this was a serious car accident, and that his father was also driving here in a car at that time. Could it be that? Zhang Hua's face instantly turned blue when he thought of that terrible possibility. He rushed over like crazy, and when he looked down and saw that the man lying in the rescue vehicle was actually his father, Zhang Hua instantly shouted piercingly, "Dad!" His tears fell uncontrollably, and he reached out and patted his father's face, crying loudly, "Dad, Dad, wake up, wake up." Just as the doctor was about to pull Zhang Hua away, he saw the monitoring equipment beeping like a warning, and the patient's physical signs were also declining sharply. At this time, the doctor couldn't care less about Zhang Hua's sad mood. He pulled him away and said to the other doctors and nurses, "Rescue the patient immediately, hurry up." Zhang Hua cried and wanted to rush in, but was stopped outside the operating room by medical staff. He could only shout loudly, "Dad, you must hold on, Dad, Dad." Shen Tianxing, Wu Haishan, and Gao Lingfeng all looked at Zhang Hua with heavy hearts. They didn't know how to comfort him. Grandpa just went in for rescue and was waiting for surgery. Now his father had another car accident. This is really a disaster. Shen Tianxing turned to look at Zhang Hua and looked at his face carefully. When she looked at his face yesterday, the whole family should be fine. Why are there so many troubles happening all day long? Just as Shen Tianxing was looking at Zhang Hua's face, Zhang Hua's yintang also turned black in the blink of an eye. In just such a moment, Zhang Hua suddenly started to bleed from all his orifices, and he fell down softly. "Zhang Hua! Zhang Hua! Zhang Hua!" While they were exclaiming, 3 pairs of hands also reached out to Zhang Hua's fallen body.